Hi gang, it's Monday and that means it's jazz on Waxing On, and today we're looking at some music by Wynton Marsalis. Now most of you will know Wynton as being the leader of jazz at Lincoln Center, and he's been doing that for a number of years. So people that have just come to know him recently is probably where you're going to recognize his music or recognize his name from. But today we're going to go back almost 40 years to the early days of Wynton. And I'm going to look at one of his first releases, simply titled Wynton Marsalis. This came out in 1982, and Wynton had just come on the scene. He was all the rage. I mean, Downbeat was talking about him. He had been involved with Art Blakey's Jazz Messengers. He was the new hot thing in trumpet. 20 years old and mastering a lot of the jazz styles. On the album here, he's got songs by Ron Carter, Herbie Hancock, a couple of written by himself, Tony Williams, one of Miles Davis alumni. And the musicians on this album included his brother Branford Marsalis, drummer Jeff Watts, bass Charles Famborough, piano Kenny Kirkland, and of course Wynton on trumpet. Now, I was lucky enough to go see Wynton on his first tour. He was touring behind this album. I think the second album had just come out or was about to come out. And he was playing at the National Arts Center in Ottawa. It's not a large venue. I think it holds about 2,000 people, something like that. But it wasn't full at that point either, because, I mean, Wynton at this point was pretty much an unknown commodity. He was just breaking onto the scene. And I guess maybe they were three-quarters full. And unfortunately, the one thing that seemed to draw everybody's attention that night was that was the one night they got a bat in the Arts Center. And while Wynton's down there trying to play, and again, this was his first trip to Ottawa, his first big tour, this bat seemed to catch a lot of people's attention. It kind of took away a bit from the show. But it was an exciting night, chance to see Wynton in his early days, and a small group setting. I know he's been to Ottawa a number of times since with the Jazz Festival, and he usually brings Jazz at Lincoln Center. And again, a great band. But here's a chance to check him out. If you go online, I'm sure it's on the streaming networks, to hear when he first came out, his first solo album. Now, him being all the rage in the jazz scene, again, Downbeat, everybody was loving what he did, Wynton changed things up a little bit. And here's an album, and I don't know how many people are aware of it, or how many people even heard of it, but at the same time the first Wynton Marsalis came out, he released another album. And you can see things look a little different here. Wynton, not with the B-flat trumpets, a couple of specialty horns. Wynton Marsalis doing Haydn, Hummel, Mozart trumpet concertos with Raymond Lepard and the National Philharmonic Orchestra. Wynton's debut classical album. At the time he came on the scene, he wasn't just a jazz player, he was also playing classical music and doing an excellent job at that. Now, we've kind of lost sight of that with everything he's done in the jazz field. But when Wynton started out, he was holding down both chairs, jazz chair and the legit classical chair. So again, if you get a chance, this is a great one to check out. We've got the Haydn Concerto for Trumpet and Orchestra, Mozart Concerto for Trumpet and Orchestra, Hummel Concerto, and again, all classical music, different horns, but an excellent player. He had excellent classical chops as well, and you can see just how young he is at this stage. This is, again, early 20s when he's putting this out. So that's a long time ago now, and he's still going strong. I don't know if he's done many classical albums since. Of course, I have to say I really haven't followed the classical. I really enjoyed the first one, and I've been more in line with the jazz at the Lincoln Center. So a couple of things to check out, to go back and find out just where Wynton came from. We've got his first solo jazz album and his first classical album. A couple of things to look at this week. Thanks for stopping by. We'll be back Wednesday when it's classic rock. Everybody stay home, stay safe. We'll see you on Wednesday.